So, hello and welcome to Up the Villa podcast. So, on this episode, we're going to briefly touch over Burnley. Don't really want to go too much detail with that. And we're going to look forward to Southampton. And then we've got some fans' questions and just some thoughts of the fans as well. So, I mean, yesterday, bit of a weird one, weren't it? We started off pretty good first half. We played some really good football. Should have banged in a few more goals, killed the game off. But like we said in our preview, we knew that Burnley are a tough, resolute team. They'll never give up and they'll keep fighting till the end, which they did. Second half, we just weren't as good, were we? We weren't at it. I mean, we had 62% possession, 18 shots, 10 shots on target, 4 corners. It's like a tale of the first game, isn't it? We had so many chances. Nick Pope played amazingly well as well. It was just a little bit frustrating that we didn't get the win, because I think we said as well that we don't want to look back at the end of the season and see these drop points and start thinking, if we'd have got that point there or that win there, it could have catapulted us into, say, a 6th or a 7th or, who knows. So, but then on the other hand, we've got the youngest team in the league. They are going to learn from that. I'm a believer that if you make mistakes, you learn from them, and hopefully this group of players will learn from it and we don't start making these mistakes in the future. Watkins' first goal was brilliant. Smith Ball was back for that. I thought that was a real good finish. What did you make of it, Seb?
I think I predicted it on the preview actually about how they were going to play. The first half, they were abysmal. We were all over them. I was saying to people, it's one of the best performances of the season so far. We looked so in control, and the only downfall is that it wasn't 2 or 3 by half time. But the problem is that came back to bite us in the second half, because they started the second half well and they picked up momentum from there. And to be honest, we struggled to cope with them. And how we've lost that game, I've no idea. But it will be a learning curve for us for sure.
Definitely, like I said, I think we got to learn from it, and hopefully the players do. I mean, some of their goals though. I mean, that cross come shot that went in. I mean, that goal was just a joke. I mean, it's just a shit goal to concede. The header, the Woods header, it's just a crap header at the back post, isn't it? He's isolated target as well. Justin, your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think after the game, I was very much like everybody, absolutely gobsmacked how we lost it, to be honest. Really annoyed, really frustrated. But I think it's probably a good job we're doing this, probably the day after. I think you have to sometimes accept that in football, this is what makes the game so great, that, the best team doesn't always win, does it? And that's what happened last night. We were by far the better side. Based on what our eyes told us, there was only one team deserved to win the game. But that don't count for nothing if you don't put the ball away, does it? Like you said, it's gonna really, hopefully, give them a kick up the arse when they are on top in games. That's probably the only thing we really have got to work on, is burying teams. The Uniteds of the past, the Liverpools of last season, the Arsenal teams, the invincible sides that they've all had. When they're on top in games, they destroy teams, 4, 5, 6-0. And that's what we've got to do. And they all know that. They were all annoyed from what you've seen on social media the last 24 hours. They all know that they really dropped 3 points in the end, didn't they? From a game we should have just been home and hosed at half time. But, that's Burnley, innit? Half time, my mate texted me and said, I'm worried about the second half. And I said, I don't know what you're worried about. I said, we're by far the better team. And then when they got the first, he said, that's why I'm worried. And long balls, corners, set pieces. We'll come on to Southampton's, obviously in a bit. But, when teams that's all they've got in the locker, you've got to defend better. I think they'll all be a little bit disappointed in the end.
Liam, do you want to add anything? What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, got to echo what the others have said. That you gobsmacked, aren't you? You're struggling to find how we've lost that game. I think credit to Burnley. You've got to give them a lot of credit. What they do isn't necessarily pretty, but they do it so effectively. We should have buried them in the first half. It would have made the second half, nothing like it turned out to be. But we failed to do that, and it's the cruelty of this level. But I think just level-headed about it. It's a learning curve. There tends to be a lot of outrage after every defeat with Villa fans, doesn't there? Particularly on Twitter, it gets amplified. But I think you've got to take a step back, look at where we are now, look at where we were. we'll win more games than we lose. If it does cost us a place in Europe or something like that, then it's a step that they've got to take next year. You know, it's something they've got to learn from, and I think they will. I've got complete confidence in them to learn from it. I think Dean Smith, his best quality is that he doesn't get too down.
Yeah.
When it's going badly, he's incredibly level-headed, and when it's going well, he doesn't kind of, the highs don't get too high either. It's about that, and he'll keep us on a sort of steady course, I think.
I know. I did have to come off Twitter last night as well, 'cause just the meltdown.
Good old Twitter.
I mean, it's just a joke, isn't it? I think Taylor tweeted that you win together and you lose as a team. You know, the amount of people that go out for certain players and just barrage them with like abuse or whatever. It's just a joke. We got to move on from that. Do you know what I mean? You just can't be like that. I mean, obviously, Seb wanted to liquidate Burnley in the preview, so I dread to think what he was thinking.
I just hope Seb's preview didn't spur them on. I hope they never saw that.
They watched it in the changing room.
So
did I make his team talk for him?
I reckon they showed them the players that at half time, and that's what's done it.
Right, let's cut
blaming Seb.
Then. Sorry.
Let's don't do the Southampton preview. So Seb's a massive fan of Hasenhüttl. He's a massive fan of Scott Parker. I don't know who else he's not a fan of Sean Dyche. Obviously, you saw in the Burnley preview. So
he's not a massive fan of me either.
No,
not a massive fan of me either.
No,
I don't think he likes me either, really. But so Seb, give us some thoughts then. The Southampton preview. What you're going to make of it. What's your vibe on the way they're doing things at the minute?
Yeah, look, I think Southampton are a team that are doing things really well. I mean, considering Hasenhüttl, he obviously had that infamous 9-0 loss, but he managed to really turn it round and he's made a proper unit out of that Southampton side. He was under real pressure under that time. I think they were in around the relegation zone at the time. So there were talks of him losing his job, and he battened down the hatches and he said, no, I'm going to sort this out. I've got us into this mess. I'm going to sort it out. And to be fair, credit to him, he's done that, and he's done that playing some really good football. He can go at teams now, and even the best teams in the league, he can scare them and he can make them think, oh, we're having a game here. And in the end, that showed, because he took them to 11th, in that season. So from where they were, he did a really good job. And I think I wrote down here that since that loss, they've played 40 games. They've won 20 of them, drawing a further 7. So they've made themselves a really difficult team to beat. And after 8 games this season, they were top of the league. So they're certainly a difficult team to play. I mean, obviously, we've conceded 4 to them earlier on this season and 3 last season. In fact, I think it was 6 overall, home and away last season. So we know just as well as everyone else how good they are and how effective they are at how they play. We know that they're going to try and hit us on the counter-attack. Obviously, Danny Ings is a serial goal scorer for them at the moment. But I think if we can keep their front men forward, we have the capabilities to put goals against them, a bit like we did against Burnley. If we take our chances, I think we can give Southampton a real game, but there's certainly not going to be any pushovers.
No, and to be fair, they've had a real good season, like West Ham, like what we have. 3 teams that last season were down the bottom of the league for long periods of it, and now we've all turned our fortunes around, and we're at top half of the table. We all know key men that obviously we need to watch out for tomorrow. It's a little bit like when Iheanacho always scores against us. You've got Chris Wood always scores against us. Danny Ings always scores against us. The list goes on of these Premier League strikers that all seem to enjoy playing against Villa. So we need to be wary of, obviously, Danny Ings. Ward-Prowse turned into prime Beckham at Villa Park. No free kicks around the box, please, against them, because we know what could happen. So, Liam, what are your thoughts looking ahead to Southampton?
I think, the first thing, like you said, discipline around the area. If you can avoid giving away silly free kicks in those areas, then absolutely do, because he's lethal, isn't he? Certain players in those kind of positions. As a player overall, Ward-Prowse, it's not. I don't think he's a bad player, but he's not a player excites me. He's not a player who I think I'd love to see him play for a Villa team, but he does a lot of things well. He does a lot of things effectively, and then he does the set pieces to a very, very high level, and that's a real danger. And we highlight the other areas. Danny Ings is he's a brilliant footballer. I think he's one of my favourite forwards in the Premier League. There's something just very clever about what he does. What I like about him is he doesn't look like a footballer. I think he looks a bit more ordinary. He doesn't look like he's going to be banging in goals, but he finds a way. And I think Southampton are just a very dangerous prospect. I think we have got to be clinical. We've got to get back to having that real solidity at the back, because we can put in those performances. I think Smith was angry enough about Burnley because we made errors. We let them back in. We let them play their game. Got to impose ourselves on it again, I think, and get that solidity back.
I mean, I can't even remember the last time we beat Southampton at St Mary's. I can't even. I don't know. Was it when Gabby scored? I can't even remember. Justin, I'll ask you. Do you know?
Well, I remember Crouchy scoring there a few years ago. You're going back a while now. Yeah, I think you might be right. Yeah.
I just think they're another team where we haven't got a great record there, have we?
No. I'm a little bit concerned about this game. I think we're good enough to win the game. Like, I think we're good enough to win most games nowadays because we are a good team. I think we've now gone past the point where we're a team in good form. I think we are just a team that's very good now. And I think nobody really wants to play us now because they know how good we are. All the commentators, the co-commentators, all the pundits now are acknowledging us pretty much as a very, very good unit. It was a blip the other night. It's probably good that we're playing again so quickly. Southampton on the day, very good side. Like you said, Luke, I agree. I think they're one of probably two or three teams that are surprising a few people this year, us being one of them, and West Ham as well, doing really well. They're going to be a threat, aren't they? The front two, just looking at the Arsenal game, I did watch a bit of it the other night. Ings and Adams, Adams has come out of his shell now. Now he's got a few. He's a real threat. Walcott's been a good signing for them. Armstrong's decent. Ward-Prowse, I agree probably a lot with you, Liam, really, that while he doesn't really catch the eye, he's very good at what he does. So you've got to be careful. We've got to be really, let's learn our lesson from Wednesday night. We're saying they need to learn from it, so let's learn from it. We're probably going up against one of the best set-piece takers in the league on Saturday, so don't give them any opportunity to fling any balls in the box. Don't give any fouls away at the edge of the box if possible. And I think if we all just raise our game 10%, I think we can still win the game. It's going to be a difficult game, but I still think we've got enough to win the game. My only one concern in our side at the moment is Barkley. He looks a little bit off it. Now, whether that's just because he's only just come back at a long layoff, I don't know. But having Sanson, I presume, will be on the bench on Saturday, could be a real bonus for us.
Yeah, I'm with you. We need an addition on that bench, definitely. So we've got some fans' questions that have been put towards us and some of their thoughts. So we'll start them off. So we've got Luke, who normally appears on the podcast as well. avfc fans on Instagram. It's a great page. He's asked us, who would you sign in January before the window closes, if anybody? And I'll give that one to Liam. So anyone that you feel like you'd want us to bring in, or just a player that you think would do well for us?
I think the obvious area is the forwards, isn't it? I think as much as I've got a lot of respect for the step up that Keenan Davis has made, and I think people need to remember just how far he has stepped up. Where he was before he came to Villa, but the facts are that he scored 2 goals in 3 years. Like that. Alone in the Championship will do him the world of good. But as such, with Wesley looking, he's still a little way off yet, I think. We need another forward. I think Traore could play through the middle, but, if we're going to really push on, another forward will add the depth that we need. Someone like Josh King is still around, as far as I know, at Bournemouth. I like that a lot. Can play wide as well, which I think Smith likes. again, he's not the most exciting kind of player, but I don't see them going out and spending a lot now, if at all, really. I think the only way it happens is if Davies does go on loan to a Championship club. Apparently, there's a huge amount of interest in him, so if that happens, maybe we'll make a late move for someone like King, which I wouldn't be against at all.
I mean, my initial vibe on a striker right now is that I just think we've got a £26 million player about to return back to some form of level of fitness. I just don't feel like we're prepared to buy a striker at all. For some reason, I just think we're just waiting, really. So I'm going to pop this question. I want a yes or no around all three of you. Okay.
Luke.
Steve Simpkins has asked, zonal marking, yes or no? Seb?
No.
Justin?
No.
Liam?
No.
Me? No. It's got to go. It's got to go. Smith & Co, if you're watching, get rid. Right. So we've got Richard Skolik has said, if and when fans return, do you think it will have a positive or negative effect on the players? Our defence has improved so much behind closed doors. I worry players, especially defensive players, might get stage fright when fans finally return. Justin, what's your thoughts on that?
I think they will absolutely love having the fans back. I can't imagine any footballer would ever say that have fans back is a negative. I mean, just think about it. A lot of the players all of the players that signed for us in the summer have never played inside Villa Park with a home crowd. No, it's unbelievable, isn't it? To even think that's happened, it's unbelievable. People like Matty Cash have been brilliant, and Conser really, and the players that have been around a couple of seasons, they've barely played in front of a home crowd, have they? So to see Villa Park rocking, and it's a shame for them, but it's been a shame for us. This is probably turning out and shaping up to be one of the best Villa sides in my lifetime. That's how good that we're looking at the moment. I have to go back to the Big Ron days, Brian Little days, John Gregory days, and a bit towards the start of Martin O'Neill days to see anything like a team that's as exciting as what we're seeing now. And we can't go and watch them. So, they want the fans back. I bumped into Al Ghazi a few months ago at work, and he was outside, and he actually said to me, he cannot wait to have the fans back. He said, we can't wait. We want the fans back. They know how good they are. They know what kind of, it does give, home and away sort of advantage is gone now, isn't it? We've seen that quite a lot this season and last season. There's no real advantage with home and away because it's just empty stadiums. So I think getting home advantage with the team we've currently got would be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I agree with you as well. So Jonathan Ridgway has asked, how are we going to cope with Southampton's set-piece delivery after conceding poorly to Burnley from a corner and multiple times to Southampton in the reverse fixture? Should we switch it up? Liam?
I think we'll go back to what I said before. The first thing is obviously don't give away silly free kicks. Try that as much as possible. I think we have to implement that because Ward-Prowse is lethal. And then something else that we've already mentioned is, I'd get rid of the zonal marking. There's obviously a reason behind it. Burnley are a better side in the air than most and will punish teams with that kind of play. But I still think, back to man marking from the set pieces gives us more of an ability to put the right men on the right men.
Yeah.
And therefore be prepared for them. So, those would be my two things, really. Pretty obvious, but I think, that it is what it is.
Yeah, definitely. So Rob on Twitter has said, is Smith leaving it too late to use his subs, which could be affecting the outcome of certain games? Seb?
Not necessarily. I think he probably did against Burnley. But then again, I think he was limited. Obviously, Trezeguet's still not fully fit. El Ghazi's had a run out of the team now, so I'm not sure what's going on with him. And then, I think he wanted to leave Barkley on for as long as possible just to try and get him back to full fitness, maybe play him back into form. But I'd just like to quickly go back onto what Liam said. I think we've got to stop being so naive, giving away free kicks around the edge of the area. You see it with the top clubs with Jurgen Klopp and Pep Guardiola. They make fouls, but they make fouls on the halfway line where you can't capitalise on them. I think if we can do that, we can be a bit smarter with it a bit more street smart. I think I've mentioned it a few times before. If we can stop them where they can't hurt us, I think that will really help.
Yeah, it's a good point, to be fair. So Villa, Miami have said, can we wait for Wesley, Traore as a striker, Keenan or Barry? We've sort of already touched on this one. I do think we need a striker. I think we need another option up front. But for me, I just feel like we're just waiting for Wesley. Does everyone else agree on that? Or
I do. I think we are waiting for Wesley, but I don't see him making hardly any impact this season. From what you're reading, he's not anywhere near, is he? There was a bit of a worrying picture going around today. Louis Barry got some kind of thing on his foot.
Yeah,
I don't know whether he's got maybe an injury. I think it's probably a little bit too early for him. You know, he's a fantastic prospect. I agree with what Liam says. I think the ideal scenario for us now is Davis, because he just doesn't make that kind of impact now, to go out on loan and try and get some kind of form and show what he can do. And us bringing a lone striker, I think that's probably the best way of doing it. I think Wesley, we've got to probably accept now he's going to be there for next season now. So bring in a decent quality, experienced lone striker to stick on the bench. And if we need him, there you go, bring him on.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, Justin, if we're talking about bringing strikers in, I've just been looking about when the last time we beat Southampton, and it was actually at St Mary's in 2013, and Libor Kozak scored in that game. So I think if we bring him back for a bit of good luck, I think that might help us see it through.
To be fair, I used to cut his hair as well.
Is that why he was shite?
I used to cut his hair. He was sound, to be fair.
Nice bloke.
Yeah, so Alex has just made a similar observation. Do we need to make subs earlier? Which will lead to a goal. He feels like we do. We need to take our chances more. B31 Villa said, do you think the team got too complacent in the second half after such a brilliant first half? I don't think it was more. I don't think it's complacent, because I don't think we'd approach it in that way. But I just felt like Burnley turned the screw of it, didn't they? Do you know what I mean? They did a Burnley on us. Mm. You know, they just...
Yeah, I think that their second knocked the stuff out of us. When he crossed that ball and it went in, you could see their heads dropped a little bit, because they'd sort of had a bad start to the second half. They'd got level. Then we managed to get ahead again, and I think they all calmed down. I thought, right, okay, we'll be all right here. And then to concede in that really annoying way, I think they switched off for 5 minutes. Before they knew it, they were 3-2 down. And we were chasing the game.
Yeah.
Noel on Twitter said, why as fans do we expect so much this season? Will we reach past glories in the next 3 to 5 years? Seb?
Why do we expect so much? I don't think we expect a lot. I think really, if the team went out and put in a good performance where we can see they've given 100% every week, I think that would suit us as fans. You know, we're not one of these top clubs where you see United lost last night and the outrage amongst United fans, obviously raging, abusing ex-Villa player Twanzebe. I mean, we're not that sort of fan base. I think every club has the odd few people who claim that they're fans and say things that are out of line. But I think the way the team has played this season has given us some real hope for the future. Obviously, we haven't had a lot to shout about in recent years. So I think to finally see a Villa team that can give 100% and battle against the majority of teams in the league, it's exciting to see.
Definitely. I think the one thing for me, though, based on the expectation thing, is that I feel like our expectation probably wasn't this high coming into the season, but once you're in it and you're involved in it and you realise how the season's panned out and what we could possibly achieve this season, then I think sometimes your expectation is going to go a little bit higher, isn't it? Because you're just wanting to get to that next sort of level. We probably are a season ahead of ourselves in our ambition at the minute. Do you know what I mean? We went up a season ahead of what the owners expected. So I just think you just got to deal with the position you're in. We're in and around 8th, 9th, 10th place, and why not, to be fair? So this is the point we're going to finish on. I feel like this is quite a good ending. It's for Matty AVFC. Not one Villa fan should be upset that we have these ups and downs. We are still learning and progressing in only our second season since promotion. We are so good to watch and we'll be such a strong team next season when hopefully we will all be back in stadiums. I mean, I feel that's like such a good comment to finish on. And I feel it's been a nice little episode. We've had a bit of a preview, chat about Burnley, chat about some of the fans, what they wanted to ask us. So I just want to say thanks everybody for watching. If you could subscribe, show some support, and we'll be back with a match reaction after the Southampton game. So thanks for watching, and up the Villa.
Up the Villa.
Up the Villa.